Hello everyone, and welcome to News and Views for September the 5th, 2024. Yes, it is back to school time in Beautiful Plains School Division as well as across the province. So welcome back to school, teachers and students, but as well a reminder to drivers on the roads that those school speed zones are now in effect again in town and elsewhere. So just be safe on those roads and be aware of those zones where those children and teenagers will be. On the show today, before we get to that actually, we have an event coming up we're doing in partnership with a hand. This is the seniors consultation with our MLA Jody Byram. This is taking place on September 20th at 1 p.m. at the Yellowhead Manor in the dining room. Anyone is welcome to come to this. However, we are aware that some people may not be able to make it on that date and still want their questions answered. You can send in questions ahead of time. These questions can be sent to Michelle Kasprick. That is, the email address is handsup, HANDSUP, at wcgwave.ca. The phone number is 204-476-2009. So if you are unable to attend the seniors consultation, which is an open forum with our MLA on September 20th, please do send your questions in ahead of time, and that program will be airing on NCTV just a few days later. So now on to today's show for News and Views. We have a couple of different items for you today. One, we went to Heritage Day in Minnedosa. This took place at their Heritage Village. All kinds of different things going on there. A lot of Métis demonstrations, a lot of demonstrations of some sort of outdated technologies and things like that. So it was really a really interesting day to check out there at the Heritage Village. And as well, we have the Scooter Safety Day, which took place here in Neepawa. This just took place to give some information on safety on the roads for scooters and a little bit of operation of the machine, a little obstacle course, things like that. So we have those on the show today. Those are abbreviated versions. We have full versions of both those programs and many other things elsewhere in the NHTV schedule. So if you have anything that has happened, anything coming up, anything you want to make sure that we know about, so we cover here on the station, please get in touch with us. You can reach us at 204-476-2639 or by email nactv@wcgwave.ca. Thanks and enjoy the show.
So I'd like to introduce our elders. Our elder, Verna DeMontney. She'll say opening prayers.
I'd like to do the opening prayer in my language, which is Michif first, and then I will translate so you understand what it is I'm saying. With that, I will start. Would you, Chimaneto, Marsidi Tuanista, Neepawa, Kakel Mamawi to Yakota, Chiselbi to Yak, Umakawish Pike. And Belgianiki Minan Bojer, Marsi per Quanma. Minal Bojer Kakwechimidin, Kakeo Tachmi Pike, Anosh. The Kakeo Takayajik. Je Vipelivie, Kakeli Mo Ligen. The Bosati Miek. Chboyo Chekmalas on me Koyesh. Lord our Creator, thank you for the beautiful day you gave us. I am honored to be here today, Creator, and I am blessed to be here. You gave us a beautiful day, Creator, to celebrate what we are about to do and what is happening here today. Thank you for that, Creator. Also, Creator, I ask a blessing, a special one for the elders, and a special one for the young ones and for the youth, but also for everyone else that is here, Creator. I ask that in your name. Okay, amen.
With that, now I'd like to introduce you to, down here. Okay, one of our ministers is for the Southwest region here of Manitoba is John Fleury. So I'll introduce you to John Fleury. He's our minister, and he will explain to you what the plaque is, and we'll have an unveiling of the plaque. So Minister Fleury.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, as introduced, my name is John Fleury. I'm one of the ministers with the Manitoba Media Federation. I've been on the cabinet now for 24 years, and it's been the highest experience of my life. And one of the highlights of our life, of course, was having the town of Minnedosa approach our Métis community here to participate in Heritage Days. As people understand the nature of Minnedosa, it was founded by John Tanner back in the 1800s, and of course the first settlement area, which is off to our right on the beach road. So our founder of Minnedosa was a Métis gentleman, and so to have us included in the Heritage Village, it makes sense, right? It's common sense. So my role, my role as the minister of with the Manitoba Media Federation, I'm responsible for Métis employment and training. So through my portfolio, we managed to train 40,000 individuals and have over 24,000 of them find full-time employment. So that's a great success. The Manitoba Media Federation is involved in every aspect of people's lives. And of course, since we're receiving federal dollars, it's designated for Métis individuals only. And our budget is annually over $16 million a year. And that goes to employment and training. But we have many other departments. We have justice, we have child and family services, we have housing, we have health. So we're involved in every aspect of their lives, as I said earlier. But my role today is I will be reading what's on that plaque behind us that's going to be unveiled today. And I'm going to read that now. Bear with me. I haven't got it memorized yet, so I have to read it. So the infinity flag, as you see flying behind you, was first flown in the early 1800s. There's saying that the first time that it was recognized was in 1815, but when it really came prominent was in 1816 at the Battle of Frog Glades when Cuthbert Grant, we had a skirmish with trappers and whatnot. That's in Bay Company, and it was in regards to economic development. That was even back in the early 1800s, the Métis were finding a way to survive. So the flag was flown there, and in that case there was two different colors. There was a red flag with the infinity symbol on it and a blue flag. Depending on who you asked, the red flag was depicted as in wartime or during a skirmish. But like I said, it's depending on who you ask. So the blue infinity flag is the prominent flag that we use today. And what is read on what is printed on the plaque back there is the flag was first used by Métis resistance prior to the Battle of Seven Oaks in 1816. It is the oldest Canadian patriotic flag indigenous to Canada. As a symbol of nationhood, the Métis flag predates Canada's maple leaf flag by about 150 years. The flag bears a horizontal figure 8 or infinity symbol. The infinity symbol represents the coming together of two distinct and vibrant cultures, those of European and indigenous North America, to produce a distinctly new culture. The Métis flag symbolizes the creations of a new society with roots in both Aboriginal and European cultures and traditions. The sky blue background of the flag emphasizes the infinity symbol and suggests that the Métis people will exist forever. Contrary to what John A. Macdonald was spouting off in the legislature back in the 1800s, says, don't worry about the Métis, there won't be any of them in 100 years. Well, you can't breed out people. Unfortunately, in Scotland, they tried that. They figured they would do that as well. It didn't work. It's a ridiculous concept to begin with. Roger, if you would, please unveil the plaque. Just for a plug-in for our local, we are selling, as many of you know, we are selling the fire grade off to Thank you all very much for coming out.
Okay, hold on.
Hi, my name is James Robertson. I am a member of the Manitoba Muzzleloaders Association. We are here in Minnedosa today to help them celebrate their Heritage Festival and the unveiling of the Métis plaque. So if there's anything you want to know,
Yeah, what is the Manitoba? What's your organization?
Manitoba Muzzleloaders Association.
What is that?
It's a gun club.
It's a sorry.
It's a gun club.
Oh, okay, okay.
But we deal mostly with the antique firearms, the muzzleloaders from days gone by.
Oh, okay.
There's a few of us who try to replicate life in the 1700s and early 1800s, predominantly the fur trade era.
Oh,
So a
okay.
lot of our stuff pertains to the fur trade itself, in which the Métis were heavily involved over the years.
Oh,
Our
okay.
particular affiliation, the wind isn't that very good, but we are affiliated with the old Northwest Fur Trading Company, which was a rival to the Hudson's Bay Company until they were joined in the early 1800s.
Okay. So where are you based? Are you based in Minnedosa or
We are considered the Brandon chapter, but most of our members are in the Carberry area.
Oh, okay.
Some are as far south as the Turtle Mountains, some in Winnipeg, some in Saskatchewan, basically all
okay.
over the province. There
Okay.
used to be several chapters all through Manitoba, now it's just the one remaining
Just the
chapter.
one. Interesting. So can you show us some of the stuff
over
that you have here? Yeah.
Here on the right we have some original trade beads. These date from the 1700s up into the early 1800s. And these are commonly referred to as shipwreck beads. Many of the traders' ships on their way over to North America would run afoul of the weather and go down. Well, with modern scuba diving technology, they can now go down and recover some of the artifacts and the trade goods from their ships. So these are an example of original trade beads. These would have been traded to the natives for furs or pemmican or whatever. On the left are all reproduction beads. Some are brass, some are tin, some are pewter. Most of them are glass beads. These are made from bone, animal bone, not human bone. These are made from deer antler. These are made from buffalo horns. And these are little seashells called cowries. And the rest are all reproduction glass beads. But these are copies of original beads that would have been traded during the fur trade era.
So where do you put this stuff? Do you have like a museum?
Well, this is my personal exhibit that I created for this weekend.
Oh, okay.
But going forward, when we go to other events, whether it's Carberries or Pine Fork Days in Spruce Woods Park, I'll carry this with us, and it'll be a permanent display feature now.
Okay.
We're always trying to improve upon our historical representation.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of what we do is an interpretation. There isn't a whole lot of documented proof of a particular clothing style, but wherever we can, we research it and make it as accurate as possible.
Yeah. That's very important. the history.
So thank you guys for coming because this is an awesome turnout. So today we're gonna have, we've got Tim Newman from Brandon Mobility who's brought some scooters and some motorized wheelchairs, and he was here to ask any questions and little tune-ups. He's got flags to sell, and we've got Terry Smith who's gonna do little tune-ups and a presentation. And we've got Constable Weston from the Minnedosa Neepawa Detachment to do little presentation on road rules and safety rules, and you can also ask any questions that you'd like to. And then I had an obstacle course set up, and I will reset that up after, so when we have a bit more room. So I'm going to let Officer Weston start with his presentation because he's got to get back. So we really appreciate you coming. Thank you. Hey.
Can everyone hear me okay? Yeah? Can you hear me again? I'm not sure where I should stand to make it easier for people to hear. Yeah, like I said, my name's Constable Weston, or Zach, if you see me outside of work. I lived in Neepawa for a couple years and just moved to Minnedosa, but it's nothing against Neepawa, I promise. It's a very nice town. I am originally from Vancouver, and then transferred here because the RCP told me to. But I like it a lot. It's a nice town. Yeah, so I'm here to talk a little bit about just safety with the scooters. Unfortunately, the province is kind of a little bit behind as far as real documentation and legislation and things like that. So there's not a lot of scooter-specific rules I can tell you. We're waiting on legislation from the province and things like that before that can come. But until then, what we would just preach is just individual safety. Safety for yourself and anyone else who might be on the roadway. So you guys are competing with people walking, people biking, and also other scooterers and vehicles and cars. So one of the main things I would say, and I'm hoping that you guys are all doing it anyways, is to take advantage at every opportunity of your guys' turning signals. So even if you're on the sidewalk and you're going to be turning right down the street or anything like that, I would utilize your turning signal to make sure that that's done safely. Lets other people know behind you. Some of them have a beeping sound when you're making that turn, and then that'll let people in front of you know that you'll be turning as well. Does that make sense? Does everyone have a turning signal? Not all of them do, I guess. If you don't have a turning signal, you can utilize some bike signals. Yeah, some hands up, turning like this. If it's safe to do so, obviously. If it's really bumpy terrain, you don't want to take one hand off the wheel. The point I'm preaching is safety first. So whatever's safest. So if you have the opportunity to use your turning signal, use it. If you don't, and it's a smooth pathway for you, feel free to turn that hand out and let everyone know that you're turning that way. Does that make sense? As well as using things like your horn. If you see someone coming out, say you're on the main road there, you're driving by the banks, you see someone coming out of the bank with their head in some papers, just honk that horn. I mean, people are polite here, so they don't like using the horn. But where I'm from, in Vancouver, there's people on the horn all the time, and it's not being impolite, it's just letting someone know you're there, right? So perfect, yeah. There you go. So I would use that horn. If you don't have a horn, obviously they're all built a little differently, but utilize the equipment you have to make yourself as safe as possible. Does that make sense? Yeah? Any questions about that at all? No? I think a fair amount of them have turning signals and things, so that's good. As far as some other things go, yeah, like I said, there's no legislation that is specific to scooters, but in problem cases, and I'm sure that you all are going to be well behaved and not driving around doing terrible things, or no drinking and driving on scooters. That's a good point. If you guys are having a drink at some friend's house or anything like that, you cannot drink and drive the scooter. Just the same as you can't drink and drive a bicycle. Anything that's wheel propelled, you can't have alcohol or over the limit and drive it. So I'm going to assume that you guys are all model civilians, and that thought never even would have crossed your mind. But if it ever does, now you know. Any drinking and driving, okay? Any questions about that? No? I'm assuming you guys are all the legal drinking age anyways. I don't know. Some fresh faces here. But, yeah, and in cases where there are people that are, say, driving really fast down the roadway or not obeying stop signs, things like that, people on scooters can be given tickets as if it were a bicycle, okay? Okay, so that's kind of where the province has told us right now. We are able to ticket people as if their scooter is a bicycle. So you have to stop at stop signs. Obviously not the same as a bicycle where you're not expected to get off of it. Oh, it's very nice of that song. Yeah. You're not expected to get off of it and walk across a crosswalk like you are with a bicycle. But the point being is that we can use that mechanism as the police to stop some problem behavior. But again, I'm assuming you guys are all model citizens and we'll never have to worry about that with you guys. And the one of the other things they wanted me to touch on is lending your scooter out to people. Lending your scooter out to other people who are of age is fine. But lending your scooter to younger kids or grandkids or whoever it might be, you could run into issues there where younger people might not have the same level of discretion or wisdom as you guys, and they might try to drive it a little too quickly. And that's where we've run into some problems. In Neepawa is some people, you see it a lot on the two-wheeled scooters, motorized scooters. Some kids are driving those very, very, very fast. And we don't want a bunch of kids to get their hands on scooters. You know, maybe it's your lovely grandchild who says he just wants to go take it for a drive, but as soon as he's around the corner, maybe he's speeding off, not obeying stop signs, anything like that. In which case, you could be ticketed for the transgressions of the person you lent the scooter to. Does that make sense? So, if you are to lend it out, just understand that whatever they do could be done unto you as far as tickets are concerned. Any questions about that? No? Any questions at all specifically for you guys?
I do.
Oh, sorry.
I go up and go to Timmy's from here.
Yep.
And on the way to Timmy's, there's a lot of roads that don't have sidewalks. So I have to walk road. So I'm wondering if these are things like that.
Yeah, so we were discussing a little bit before. There's kind of two schools of thought as whether you should view these as you're walking or whether you should view them as a bicycle, depending on which side of the road you want to travel on if there is no sidewalk. We were discussing perhaps it would be best for you guys, for your own individual safety, if you viewed it as if you were walking. So you're on the side where you can see traffic coming on, and then you just have to be really, really mindful. And if it's late at night at all, you can use your headlamp. If you're driving at night or in the evening where it might be a little dark. If it's during the day, yeah, just try to be as mindful as you can. Hug that left side as much as you can. Keep an eye on the traffic coming and go slow and steady. Yeah, I mean, oncoming traffic can be scary, but if it's on these side roads, hopefully people aren't going too fast. And if they do, then you can call us, and that'll be our job to stop them then. And then a point off of that, if you guys are on sidewalks or on the side of the road, and there's obviously a road, like an intersection, you're going to check all your ways before you go forward. But we also want to make sure that you guys extend that same courtesy to back lanes. So you guys all live in town, you know that back lanes are used quite frequently. That's not a thing in Vancouver. I'd never even seen a back lane before coming here. But I would extend that same courtesy where you make a full stop, maybe check both ways, oncoming, just to make sure that some kid isn't going to rip out of that back lane in his dad's car, and then you're halfway to the intersection and it's not looking good. Yeah. So we want to, obviously, the drivers around you guys have to follow their jobs, but because you guys are just on a scooter and not in an enclosed vehicle, it's your safety that's the higher risk. Even though you might have been doing the right thing, they're doing the wrong thing. We just want to make sure that we preach individual safety. So if that means stopping at every back lane, checking both ways, give a little honk of the horn, drive through, whatever makes you guys the safest. Because last thing we want is, even if it's the driver's fault, I mean, it's going to hurt you guys a lot more than it's going to hurt them, right? So individual safety is kind of the whole thing I'm pushing through.
And we've got to stop at every stop sign regardless of your car.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
bike. A lot of bikes don't.
Yeah, a lot of bikes don't. But stopping at every stop sign, obviously you're not going to get off in crosswalks to walk, but you got to obey all the signs in the road that you would see as if you're driving, because you are driving a a motorized vehicle, even though it's not considered the same as a vehicle as far as the law is concerned. But yield when you have to yield, check all your ways, stop signs, the red lights, things like that. Yeah, and just make sure that you're safe while obeying all your guys' rules, and keep a pretty, as much as you can, a 360 view of all the cars and what they're doing, as well as the other scooters.
The officer there, he mentioned a lot of good features for you, being you're a pedestrian still on these units, so treat yourselves as a pedestrian. I'll just go a little further with your charging and stuff for each scooter. I always say when you're going to bed, put your scooter to bed, so plug it in. That way you're going to get full life out of your batteries. Even in the wintertime, if you're not using it, just plug in your charger. I plug it once or twice a week, and then plug it back in to recharge it. Because your battery charger will automatically shut off once your scooter's fully charged. So then you just got to recycle it by unplugging and plugging it back in. Then you don't have to call anybody in the spring to say, hey, my batteries are dead. You come and change them and do whatever. They'll still be going nice and far. The other part is I brought out a few other scooters, some power chairs over there for our little obstacle course that we're going to be doing. And I come out, I'm a rep for Brandon Mobility. I come out this way usually once a week on Wednesdays. So if you did need me out here, I can come out. I'm going to give you guys a little bag with my business card and everything in there, so you can feel free to call me. There's a cell phone number, there's an 800 number. I'm usually available most of the time. Or it might take me part of a day to get back to you, but I will get back to you. And just drawing a blank now to see what we want to do, but I think we should all just do this little course and have some fun and
Tim,
go from there. Yes,
one
sir.
thing, I've had a lot of people in the last few years ask me, should you take your battery out of your scooter for the winter? I say no, just keep the charger on it once a month.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I guess it depends where you're storing it. That would be the other part for when you're purchasing a scooter is where are you going to be able to park it? Do you have a garage? Are you bringing it in the house? Do you have an apartment? So take all those factors of where you're going with it. Most of the time we don't tell you to take the batteries out, just plug it in, get the cycle going. Once it caps out, the charger's going to stop, and then, like I said, in another week or two, go unplug it, plug it back in just to recycle your charger.
So you can leave it in the garage, an unheated garage over the winter?
Should be able to, and then still plug it in.
Yeah, I leave mine in my garage all winter.
Yep.
And about every 2 weeks, I just plug it in overnight. It's in the same branch as my car.
Yep.
And then I unplug the charger twice a month. That's how I keep my batteries up to that.
And then you can still drive them in the winter too. So you don't have to park them. Well, that's the other part. If it's too cold, you're not going out. And then most of you, I've noticed, you have the solid or the pneumatic wheels, so it'll be a little softer in the winter. If you had just the solid wheels, then you'll have a little more trouble getting out in the winter.